Hey there, Heather, hello there, it's Jeff Cutter Diamond welcoming you to a Time Standstill video specifically made to be released on Saturday, October 12th, 2024, which will mark 20 years to the day that Time Standstill Part 2, mind you, aired in Canada, and it practically went there. So, if you're a hanger-on of my Degrassi stuff, Cutter Historical and the Degrassi stuff that I posted in Reddit and all that, you'll know that I posted a poll of 5 characters from the Degrassi thing about villainy. I did a top 10 villains list from 2023, like last year. But I've decided to make it an extra special one and make it a top 15 villains list. So practically, I will tell you in order, from 15 to 1, who are the biggest villains, why that person's a villain, and specifically why that person is in that spot and not like number 1 or something like that. So anyway, so I expanded everything with the top 10 and all that. So there were 5 names, and there was actually a tie for, well, the rule was the 5 people in the Reddit poll would actually be from 11 to 15. I made a top 10, now it's top 15. So Reddit determined from 11 to 15, and I determined from 1 to 10 on my own merit. Okay, so here we go. Gotta make, well, make the fingers, but it's like a weird fingers. All right, so here we go. Number 15 on the list is Sean. Why did I put Sean on this list? Well, Sean did tell Jay and his crew not to go to Raditch when their car was spray painted, because obviously Jay would have to incriminate himself. Why Sean is low on this list? Well, simple. Not just because he saved Emma from a gun and tried to talk down Rick, which was perfect and all that, but practically because of the fact that he didn't foresee that Jay and crew were going to turn things up to 11. Sean may have had a little bit of guilt, maybe thinking about Jay and Spinner, but then again, he wouldn't know about Jay or Spinner doing it and all that. Maybe he's told about that, but of course Jay will keep silent from Sean. But the fact of the matter is that you can't blame Sean. I mean, dude saved Emma from a gun. Okay, number 14 is Toby. Why did I put Toby on this list? Well, I put Toby on this list because he was befriending Rick despite all the hubbub. Now, obviously, he's not a complete villain. I mean, Toby being with Rick in the first place was huge because JT basically blew him off. JT in season 4 was pursuing Manny and also was pursuing a friendship with Danny, aka Liberty's brother. Unfortunately for a lot of people, he left Toby high and dry. Toby was paired up with Rick doing school project, and they both were part of the Wacky Brain team, and both had crushes on Emma, and they took part in the kissing bet. Toby unfortunately started something bad when he paid Darcy $5 to smooch Rick, and then Jay and Spinner basically go after Toby, and that's when Rick tells Jimmy about the fact that they're going to go after Toby. Now they have another target. But yeah, like, Toby got back together with JT because JT was basically told off by Manny. Number 13 on the list is Terry's dad. Reason being I put him on the list is for not reporting the abuse on Terry, which would have given Rick problems. I also would have said Terry too, but come on, I gotta cut the girl a break. Girl was in a coma. Girl had to have surgery. But yeah, Terry's dad, I mean, what if Terry's dad did press charges on Rick? I think, in all honesty, that Rick would have been in deep trouble. There would have been some kind of police investigation, and basically Rick would have had to get himself out of this mess. And maybe, just maybe, that would have been a catalyst for Raditch not allow Rick back at Degrassi and all that. But that's the thing. I feel bad for Terry's dad in a sense. But yeah, he should have done something about it. Like, dude, if Terry wasn't going to do it, why didn't he? There was actually a tie in the vote for 13th. Well, the top vote was 13th. But number 12 is Heather Sinclair. Thinking, why did you put Heather Sinclair on this list? Well, for the weird circumstances. For some strange reason, Heather Sinclair was part of the Quiz Bowl team with with Toby, Emma, and Rick. And then Heather just had to come down with mono, and Jimmy was placed there by Snake. It's kind of weird that Heather and Emma were on the same team, because after all, Emma insulted Heather in Mercy Street and all that. But yeah, I guess because with the fact that Emma was kind of friendless because Paige's Clique got her in trouble. I just think that, it's all of that. And would Craig have had mono? Probably not. I don't know. Craig and Heather, that would be a nice pairing. But let's just say this. Craig is not a fill-in at all. He was the one who saw Jimmy's prone body and couldn't do anything about it. I could have put Paige there, too. Paige did start the vicious rumors and all of that. But the fact is, Paige did it because she was trying to help out of the fact she knew about the Terry situation and all that. Paige wasn't a super bully like Spinner, Jay, and Alex were. Like, Paige pulled out of the bullying sooner rather than later. And she did inadvertently cause Rick to not pull his gun up at her. And number 11 is Jimmy. Reason being? Well, he was a bully at the start. Yeah, Jimmy was on that road trip with Hazel, Terry, Rick, Spinner, and Paige. And yes, Jimmy probably felt angry about Rick coming back to the school and all that. And let's not forget, Jimmy, in a bit of foreshadowing, which I didn't see, pointed a hose at Rick with his back turned and shot Rick in the back with the hose. How did we know that that was going to be a bad result? But regardless, Jimmy was a bully, and he did put Rick into the dumpster. But Jimmy did change his tone once Rick said, I've been bullying and all that, this is going on too much, and now they're going to bully Toby because of me. Jimmy then decides to stand up for Rick in front of Spinner, Jay, and Alex. Say what you want, but Spinner and Jay obviously were pissed off that Jimmy switched sides. So, yeah, Jimmy obviously did all that. And Jimmy blamed himself, saying that if he had not bullied Rick, he would have been walking. Like, dude, your best friend, or your supposed best friend, sold you out. He's the real problem, not Rick. All right, so that's that. Okay, so here we go. From 10 to 1 on my accord. Here we go. Number 10 is the school board. Reason being is because the school board failed to protect the students. I know you could also say he who shall be mentioned later also failed, but the school board was probably there. If Terry's dad brought justice and the police thing, then the police would have told the school board would have had to tell Radich not allow Rick back and all that. The school board failed and all that. Now, the one problem I have with the school board is, did they leave Radich high and dry? Was it possible that Rick's parents somehow complained about the school board not doing a thing and may have gotten something, a settlement, not a financial settlement, but a settlement that the school board had to do all this stuff? And maybe they hung Radich out to dry. Maybe they were just like, pinning everything on Radich, saying that he failed the students. He did, but the school board is the end-all, be-all. And who knows? Maybe the school board reassigned Radich instead of firing him because they felt bad. And if they fired Radich, then he might have snapped back at them. It's a possibility. Okay, number 9 on the list is the staff. Now, the reason why I go with the staff on number 9, now Snake could have also been there, but Snake is built in with the staff. The staff did not protect Rick. If you look in Mercy Street, in the first few, like in the big scene that showed Rick starting to get bullied and all of that, you see that the staff see it, and what are they doing? Absolutely nothing. Quan does send Spinner to the principal's office for what he did to Rick during Rick's poem. That was right. She did right. But the fact of the matter is that Spinner side, what did the staff do? Did the staff really go after Radich, saying, hey, you know what? Rick should never be at this school and all that? Like, Snake did. And Snake did take accountability. That's the one thing about Snake, is that at least he was the only staff member that we saw as the audience take accountability. Otherwise, one other staff member took accountability. Hazel Eccles didn't take accountability. Kwan didn't take accountability. And you know who didn't take accountability. So, like, yeah, the staff failed the students in a sense, but not as bad as the man at the top. Number 8 on the list is Emma. Reason being for Emma being at number 8 and not like top 5 is that, yes, she did start the Orange Ribbon campaign. Yes, it did lead to Rick being bullied. But the fact of the matter is, Emma, at the end of the day, did the right thing, protected Rick, even though it cost her a lot of things and all that. And girl was like traumatic and all that. Why did we not see a PTSD thing to do with Emma, to do with the shooting? Although Secret could also have been like that. But the fact is, why didn't we follow up on it, maybe in season 5 or 6, about the Rick situation? Out of sight, out of mind, I guess, by the writers. But, like, Emma's Orange Ribbon campaign was set up to help domestic violence and all that, because that was the cause girl. She did a lot of causes, and a lot of people were pissed off with how she pushed things, especially Fight for Your Right with Raditch in season 2. Emma lost Manny and Liberty, rightfully so, because she was petty over Liberty dating Chris, saying that, what would that do? What does that say about me? It doesn't make sense. Why would they whisper bad things about you, Emma? And also, when do you care about what people think of you? You do these causes, you stick your nose into other people's business, and you don't give a crap. Now you do. But you can also blame Emma's glow up, because Emma thinks that she's better than Chris and all that, and wanted to find a boy who loved her and all that, but couldn't, and didn't want to go back to Chris, didn't want to grovel. So she joins up Paige's clique, trying to get new friends, trying to get everything going with the Orange Ribbon campaign for domestic violence, being the cause girl, and also to stick it to Raditch. I don't care what you think. I think she wanted to stick it to Raditch because Raditch told her that her causes were stupid. Like, Raditch should have learned his lesson from season 2. Don't push Emma, because Emma will push back. And Emma probably did. And all that. Raditch couldn't stop her. So yeah, the Orange Ribbon campaign was just used, and that $500+ check from Rick. Emma, I think, wanted to take it because it would have helped the cause. The cause girl mind in Emma was basically there. But Alex ripped up the check and ripped Emma a new one. Emma then loses her friends, or new friends, because she protected Rick from a beating. And say what you want, but I think Paige's clique actually pushed Emma. Like, Paige probably told things about Emma, and everyone avoided Emma, which meant she was only with the Quiz Bowl team and all that. Manny and Liberty didn't really talk to her. We didn't see Manny and Liberty talk to her. I think they were still freezing her. But yeah, like, come on. Emma had the PTSD. We all know it. She was zombie Emma and clingy Emma. Give her a break. Anyway, number 7 on the list is... oh, sorry. I should have been more prepared. The students? I think so. Hold on. Yeah, number 7 is this. Yeah, number 7 is the students. Like, there's certain named students, but no, the students should be number 7. Because they push things too far. Yes, they should be a little higher maybe, but I feel in a way that the named individuals should frickin' be held more accountable. The students took the Orange Ribbon campaign by Emma as a sign to beat up a domestic abuser and all that. That was not the point of Emma's thing. Emma did it for many different reasons. We all know that. But the fact is, the students wouldn't let things die. They basically used violence against Rick outside school too. Like, it's weird. I think they wanted to save up their pent-up rage. Now, the students had pent-up rage because Raditch refused to do a thing about it with Rick coming back to the school. And they said, well, we'll take justice in our own hands, mob mentality. So that's what they do, in a sense. I know that in 2023, last year I put them at number 6, but I'm putting them number 7 this year. The fact of the matter is that, yeah, the students should be blamed a bit more. But the fact of the matter is that, you know, they were angry that Raditch refused to do a thing about it. And they used the Orange Ribbon campaign to go after Rick. They still went after Rick, even though it was apparent that Rick was staying at the school. No chance. But other people just wanted Rick to suffer. And, you know, they all laughed at him being pain and feathered. I bet they were laughing when Rick took a gun to the school and shot somebody. Okay, number 6 on the list is Rick's parents. More so this year, I have more reason to hate on them. The fact of the matter is Rick's parents should have prodded Rick for information and all that. They were blissfully ignorant, especially the mother, and that is that. Rick's parents should never have let Rick back at the school, no matter if Rick wanted to go back in the lion's den, no matter if there was no criminal charges. They should have said to go to new school. Yes, Rick's mom did say in Time Stands Still Part 1 about the fact that Rick should have gone to a new school and all that, but Rick says, you worry too much, we'll rule the school. Like, Rick's mom should have pushed a lot more, and Rick's parents probably believed the freaking crocodile tears Rick pulled. Rick pulled crocodile tears on his parents. Simple as that. Yeah, they should be higher, but it's Rick's fault why they're low on the list. Because Rick himself kept everything under wraps. He didn't want his parents to worry. He didn't want his parents to interfere in the situation, and the whole snitches get stitches philosophy. The fact is, Rick did wrong, and Rick's parents were bad. And also, let's not forget, his dad had his gun in a briefcase, easily accessible to Rick. I bet he didn't think that Rick could access it, but he did. And it was found it was Rick's dad's gun, and, you know, the police would have done their due diligence. I don't know what happened to Rick's parents. They probably fled Toronto. They probably had to pay a price. They probably had to pay a fine or jail time or some kind of crap. But yeah, Rick's parents are there. You got a blissfully ignorant mother and a stupid father who left a gun easily accessible to Rick. What kind of parents do that? All right. With that in mind, here goes the top 5. Number 5 on the list is Alex. You may be thinking, hang on, Alex was in on the Paint and Feathers prank and all that stuff. How come she's so low? Well, simple. Because she was not the main catalyst for Rick shooting Jimmy. She did do the Paint and Feathers prank, but she was not part of the plan to make Rick believe in their bullshit twice. It wasn't Alex's fault. And yeah, we can give Alex a bit of a break because she dealt with domestic violence because of her mother being in and out of women's shelters. We can understand that, but, you know, that's where the sympathy cuts the line. Alex had guilt. Alex should have told somebody. Alex could have easily told somebody about her role without implicating Spinner and Jay. She could have kept Spinner and Jay out of the situation. Hell, she had chances after season 4. She had great chances to just come clean. She should have came clean the Hatzalackles, because Hatzalackles may have cut her a break, but, you know, zero tolerance would have screwed her. But Alex would not have had the guilt built up in her rage and all that and stuff. And as Not a Vampire said, probably Alex basically beat herself up over being part of the Rick situation in the first place. Maybe that's why she wasn't as open to doing stuff. But, yeah, but, like, that's just terrible. I mean, we should sympathize with Alex being victimized by domestic violence, and she had the embodiment of every guy who wronged her mother was Rick. Rick was the perfect embodiment of people who wronged her mom. She had a point. I would cheer for Alex. But the fact is that Alex did the Paint and Feathers thing, didn't get caught. Nobody figured, well, how did anyone get to the Paint and Feathers thing? The problem was everyone was thinking about the aftermath. Everyone was thinking about the shooting and all that. If the shooting did not happen, I swear Alex would have been caught in simple ways. And Spinner and Jay didn't implicate her because Spinner didn't think Alex deserved any blame, and Jay had a hard-on for Alex. Just saying. And number 4 is Raditch. They're thinking, too low, Jeff, too low. No. Reason why he's not in the top 3? He did not bully Rick. He was not the cause of Rick's rage. The 3 people were involved, the 3 people above Raditch were practically named for a reason. Raditch is high on this list because of the simple fact that he let the students down. Everyone says he let Rick down. Okay, he lets Rick down. But the simple fact is, topic sentence time is he did not let Rick down, he let the students down. Simple as that. That's my topic sentence on him. So Raj is the end-all be-all, the last line of defense, the buck stops here type of person. As principal of Degrassi School, he should have listened to his staff members. He should have basically tried to get Rick out of the school. But with no criminal charges, what could Raj do? His hands were tied. And, we understand that. But when you don't look at that deleted scene, we think Raj is practically just shooing people off. The one thing Raj should have done in the first place was to allow an assembly or talk over the video system why Rick is back at the school. He should have explained himself. Because if people do want to press charges on Rick and all that, they probably would not have done too well. And besides, Radich probably thought that the students were going to overtake him and all that. And Raj was in school board frame of mind. Not the students' frame of mind, the school board frame of mind. The tyrant, if you will. And, of course, telling Emma off, saying, stay out of this, this is not one of your stupid crusades. Are you crazy? Don't tell that to Emma. Emma will go after you. And, yes, Radich had a grudge against Emma from Fight for Your Right, because Emma told the whole student body about Radich threatening her with a suspension. So it was up to him to try to make the students play his way. And it failed miserably. He didn't help the students out. The students had to take matters in their own hands for the Orange Ribbon campaign, and Radich couldn't do anything about it. Yes, he ignored Rick, but Rick did not become clear. Rick was not clear with Radich and all that. And Radich is a concrete thinker. If Rick had said, he's bullying me, or practically give him proof, Radich would have had to take Rick seriously. But he's show me the proof. If he should have said, well, what proof do you have, Rick? And if Rick didn't have proof, then said, get some proof. So, yeah, Raj screwed up. And yes, the aftermath. Yes, Snake had a point. Raj had a point, too, saying he had 700 students and a staff to worry about. How was he supposed to know one person was going to get crazy over spilled paint? And that's fine. Yeah, that's right. He's got a point. But the fact is, he let the students down. He let Snake down, in a sense. Because... well, what would Raj have done if the shooting didn't happen? Raj now had to do damage control and all that. I understand it. But canceling Dracula? It was campy. It wasn't violent at all. He watched the playthrough with Liberty in them. Honestly. Yeah, his whole stupid thing, Voices Carry, the PR move. All that, trying to make a musical, too. About good Degrassi is. He has a point that Degrassi's now on the 6 o'clock news for all the wrong reasons. But the fact of the matter is that he went about it the wrong way. The school board got him. I think the students complained, and I think Snake, Radich's last true friend, sold him down the river. Radich deserved what he got. I mean, the dude got a send-off. At least Degrassi didn't blackhole him. They gave him a send-off, and who knows? In universe, I think he would not have taken the reassignment well. He probably would have quit education and just done some other crap, like maybe Chup got rebuilt. That's what I think. Number 3 is Spinner. You're thinking, Jeff, you're nuts. Spinner? That number 3? There's a reason why numbers 1 and 2 are number 1 and 2. It is definitely Spinner. Spinner was a bully. Spinner bullied Rick to the end. And yes, he had reason to go after Rick, unlike number 2 on this list. But the fact of the matter is that Spinner was a jerk. Yes, Spinner helped Paige out with caring for Terry when she had the head on the rock. And they all were supposed to keep an eye on Rick, and they failed. But the fact of the matter is that Spinner felt angry. He felt angry. He wanted to do something. He wanted to go after Rick when Rick was sitting in his mom's car and get revenge. I wouldn't blame Spinner for that. I never would have blamed Spinner. But yeah, Spinner did all this. Yes, he wanted Rick out of the school, like everyone else. Fine. But he was the one who, alongside Jimmy, dumped Rick into the dumpster, and then Rick started to finally retaliate with the spray can and the axis, circle with the X. Spinner is a terrible person for one reason, and that was his selling Jimmy down the frickin' river. Spinner is supposed to be friends with Jimmy, but it's quite clear that Spinner is more friends with Jay than Jimmy. Because of Spinner, Jay, and Alex being in the bully group. Jimmy did not bully Rick. Obviously, Rick got to Jimmy. But Spinner is the one who told Rick in the bathroom during the tie break that everything was cool. And then he practically helped Jay with his paint and feathers for Alex to dump on Rick. Because win or lose, Rick was going to get paint and feathered. Spinner made a classic mistake. He bragged about this whole thing to Jimmy. He bragged. And, that's when Jimmy got mad and they had a literal fight. Armstrong broke it up. But Armstrong did not send him to the principal's office. As we see in that deleted scene, Spinner then took a chance to cluck at Rick. Raditch heard it and wants Spinner to meet him at 3:30 for a talk. And then that's where we get the Spinner talking about, Raditch knows. And then Jay calms Rick down, tries to calm Spinner down. Now, also, if you don't look at the deleted scene, is that what Raditch knows is that Spinner thinks that Jimmy's going to narc. Either way, Spinner is worried. And Jay tries to calm Spinner down, and Spinner plays along with Jay. Spinner should never have played along with Jay's bullshit. Never. That's what cost him dearly. Spinner had the right idea. Spinner figured that Jimmy was shot because of him. And so he wanted to go to the cops. But Jay basically told him to shut up. Spinner should have went to the cops, alleviate his guilt, instead of waiting 3 freaking months till Jimmy came back from rehab and doing it. I don't care what you think. Spinner telling Jimmy was the right thing to do. Spinner wanted to alleviate his guilt. Yes, it was selfish. But the fact is, what if Jimmy found out about it without Spinner telling? The cops would have been involved and Spinner would have been dead duck. But yeah, Spinner was right to tell Jimmy and all that. And he knew that after he got expelled, that he would have to win his friends back. And in season 5, he did. He took his time. He didn't push the envelope. He took his time, and everyone forgave him at the end of season 5. Jimmy is a saint for putting up with Spinner and basically telling Spinner, since when are we friends and all that. Spinner should never have done that. And number 2 is the biggest asshole in Degrassi. Living asshole in Degrassi, in my mind. You could say Peter is the biggest asshole or living asshole in Degrassi. But no, it's Jay. To me, it's Jay. I don't care what you say. A lot of people are going to defend Jay. I don't give a flying you know what. But Jay is a terrible person because of his involvement. Simply put, Jay is a decent character. Season 3, Jay managed to get Sean to join the Candy Bandits and leaving him high and dry. Season 4, he decides to help take up the cause to bully Rick. Everyone else had a reason. Spinner had a reason. Paige had a reason. Jimmy had a reason to be part of the bully group to go after Rick because of what Rick did. Jay had 0 involvement at all. Jay had 0 involvement. Jay had nothing to do with the whole Rick situation from season 3. All he wanted to do was try to bully Rick, be a jock, and all that stuff, and make people like him. I don't care what you think. That's how I feel. The simple fact is that Rick aside, Jay is the biggest villain. Jay was there from beginning to end to bully Rick. He didn't give a flying you know what about the situation. He didn't care about Terry. He just cared about just bullying Rick and make himself look good in all the people's eyes. And let's face it, Jay freaking is a villain because he's the one who got Spinner to believe the story. Yes, we all know about Rick being in the bathroom and all that. Jay was trying to protect his only friend, Spinner, in a sense. Jay's the one that started that whole story, and yes, Spinner should never have listened to Jay and all that. But Jay had no qualms about it. He basically decided to spend his time trying to prevent Spinner and Alex from talking. That's all he wanted. He needed to make sure Spinner and Alex kept their mouths shut. He had no sympathy, no nothing. He basically told them to be quiet and all that, not to implicate him. And then Spinner tells about him and Jay and, tricking Rick and all that. And then Spinner goes to Hatzilakos and implicates Jay. Jay should have kept his mouth shut, not pushed Spinner and Alex, because I think Spinner would have kept quiet. Maybe Spinner would have confessed for his own court and leave Jay out of it. But no, Jay had to be a pushy you-know-what, and Spinner basically implicated Jay. Spinner and Jay wanted to burn the school. Well, actually, Spinner wanted to burn those yearbooks, but Jay stopped him. That's one of the most unbelievable things. Jay stopped Spinner from being a douchebag. But the fact of the matter is that Spinner and Jay were still friends, and then Spinner finally, when he was part of the Christian club, decided to snap on Jay and break off from Jay. Jay had no qualms, and Jay basically said, the staff pressured him to do it. He had no sympathy for Spinner whatsoever. Are you nuts? That guy just pisses me right off. And number one, without any freaking doubt, it's Rick. Why would it not be Rick? How can it not be Rick? It is Rick Murray. Take it as it is. Nobody's going to disagree with me, I think. But Rick was his own worst enemy. He put Terry in a coma. He pushed her. He should have taken responsibility and say, I screwed up and all that. But he cried crocodile tears to his mom and to his dad and basically got out of it. He wanted to come back to Degrassi. I understand he wanted to come back to Degrassi, face the Lions Den, and maybe think that they probably will get mad at him for a while and then just stop. I understand that. That's fine. And I understand what Rick did. But what was Rick expecting? Paige and them were basically saying the stuff about Terry. And the whole school freaking knew about Terry. Oh, and of course, side note is that Terry, actress played by Christina McGregor. Christina Schmidt. She's a Waterloo Oxford alumnus, just like yours truly. That's right. I went to high school with Christina Schmidt. She didn't know me, and I didn't really know her. But the fact is, back to the main story. Rick is a terrible villain who should never have been allowed to be in Degrassi. His parents should have stopped him. Raditz should have stopped him. School board should have stopped him. Common sense should have stopped him. But no, he was living in a fantasy world where he thought everything's going to be fine. I'm going to be fine. No. Rick was bullied. I sympathize with Rick, that the students took things a little too far. But how else could they have taken it? The students were upset because the staff, especially Raditz, did not take him seriously and did not help him. I understand that with the students. That's why they were low on the list. But Rick was his own worst enemy. He basically was living in a fantasy world where everything was fine and all that, oblivious to everything around him. I know he was being bullied, and he got Jimmy to believe, to switch sides and all that. But Rick was his own worst enemy. After being put in the dumpster, he decided to circle X everyone's cars who tormented him. That's fine. Rick had to retaliate. Rick figured that he was going to do the old philosophy. How would you like it if the shoe's on the other foot? Rick was going to bully the bullies and see how they feel. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. It just made Jay, Spinner, and Alex madder and madder in wanting a massive plan to destroy Rick. And of course, it also doesn't help that Sean basically said, don't go to Raditz because he wants to know about this stuff. I don't know if Raditz would have taken them seriously. But Rick retaliated. He never retaliated. And I think if he had not retaliated, he would have won in the end. He definitely would have won. But Rick was in his own fantasy world, thinking that Emma had the crush on him because of how Emma saved his butt. Emma was doing it for the right causes, and Rick, as not a vampire says, had nice guy logic. He basically brags about the Quiz Bowl team taking over the school when they win the competition to his mom. And his mom is blissfully ignorant and believes everything. Rick did not tell his mom or dad anything for fear of being snitches get stitches. I understand that. But he's got to come clean because, he's living in a fantasy world. But of course, Rick was oblivious to everything. He held Emma's hand at the thing. He whispered, "This is for you," for the quiz thing. And, Emma spurned him at painted feathers. I mean, why would you want to kiss a guy with painted feathers? But the fact is that Rick decided to bring a gun to the school. Degrassi High fans would have figured maybe he's going to off himself at the school like Chloe Tanner. But no, it was the other way. He brought the gun for revenge. Say what you want, is that his first target was Paige for spreading the rhetoric. In his mind, he thought Paige was a prick. He went after Paige first. He could have went after Emma first at the picnic table, but there were witnesses. He went after Paige. Paige calmed them down, and then he snapped out of it. But then it took another bullshit lie by Jay and Spinner to make him go after Jimmy, shoot him in the spine. Now let's make one thing clear. Rick did have doubts. Because if Rick did not have doubts, gun to the head, boom, game, set, match. Rick turned his head and shot Jimmy. If Rick was dead set on shooting Jimmy, he would have said, boom, he would have got Jimmy in the head. And then, of course, Emma and crew had to go to Rick, and Rick basically wanted to shoot Emma before Sean tries to calm him down, and Rick says, it's too late, I got somebody. Gun goes off, Rick's dead. Sean's a hero. Rick made the students feel bad about it, and some not. But the fact of the matter is, and I'm going to say this as loud as possible, Rick was his own worst enemy. He should not have come back to Degrassi. He should not have retaliated. He should not have brought a gun to the school at all. Idiot. You can't stop that from happening. But yeah, he is a prick, and he will always be a prick in my book. And his death actually was helpful to the students and staff because they didn't have to face more repercussions about the whole Rick situation. But Rick was a giant prick. Everett Malice, great job. I applaud his acting. But Rick was an asshole. Take it as it is. He's the worst asshole in Degrassi history. And that's all for this video. Thank you for watching. I'm Jeff Diamond. Adieu.